I got my reading notes. I got my cough drop. I got my voice. I'm ready to go. Hi, readers. It's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, and welcome to my 2025 bookish goals for the year for myself and a little bit for my channel. I'm not going to apologize for this being late because you all know why it is late, but I am starting the week off fairly strong. I'm feeling better than I have for weeks, so that's a good thing, right? And I am going to try to film some content ahead this week, so we shall see how that goes. And I'm just happy that you're here. I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy because I made 2,000 subscribers while I was pretty much out sick. So imagine that. That just made me so happy. And I don't think I ever anticipated that that would be a possibility for me. I just really did not. And it takes a while to grow a channel. And I'm watching some of you that are talking about this too. My friend Tammy and Believe in Your Shelf, she's just making it just like I did. Y'all go give her some love and give her some subscriptions if you haven't already subscribed. There's lots and lots of folks that really deserve to be seen. The Library Mouse is another one. I'll make a list very soon because I just love to showcase channels that maybe you haven't seen or heard of. Berna at Berna's Bookish Adventures. I can never say enough about Berna. She's just the most wonderful human on the earth. And she talks about the most unique books because she lives in Turkey, you guys. So, I mean, she gets a lot of really unique titles. And we have a lot of similar tastes as well. We both love Agatha Christie. We're both fans of TJ Klune. So go give some love to lots of booktubers because it is a journey. It definitely is a journey. And it also depends on how much time you have to devote. And, there's just a lot of variables there. But thank you all so much. Thank you for all, over 2,000 of you. And there will be a video coming out soon about you asking me questions and kind of just talking about the last few years on BookTube. And I'm also going to kind of survey you for what content you'd like me to be creating, because I think that that's important. And sometimes I feel like, is this something that anybody really cares about? Do they even really want to watch this? So I'd like to get some feedback on that as well as some feedback on what you would like to see that maybe you haven't seen on BookTube before, or maybe I haven't tried. So that would be a lot of fun and look forward to that. Okay. All right. So here are my reading goals for 2025. And again, some of these are, I'm going to talk a little bit about my channel and the content here on my channel as well. So the first one is to read 52 books in the year 2025. I usually set the goal around 52, which is a book a week. I usually exceed it, but this year also I'm committed to reading longer, bigger books. I've already finished one. I'm super happy about that. I can't wait to tell you about it. But I do want to devote to the quality of the books I'm reading this year and to be a little bit more intentional about what I read each month. And so because of that, I'm keeping it at 52 books. And if I don't make 52, that's also really okay. But there was a time where I did not. There was a time where I was working super hard and I just did not meet those goals. But it's a lot easier now for sure as I work for myself and as I don't know, I just have a less busy life, I guess, which is kind of good, right? My backlist. My backlist is tremendously large. I don't yet have a clue about exactly how many books are on my backlist. So I am in the process of completing two goals for this year around that area. One of them is going to take me a while, and that is a bookish inventory. I have a spreadsheet from the Currently Reading podcast. I am a patron of their podcast, so I am a bookish friend, which is the first tier of their patron scale. And every year, Katie, who is one of the hosts of the Currently Reading podcast. Her channel is on Instagram, Notes on Bookmarks, Notes on a Bookmark, something like that. Katie has created this extremely robust, extremely detailed spreadsheet for us each year, and I have not tackled it before. And this year, I am attempting to make this my inventory, make this my tracking sheet. You can use these each year. She makes it easy for you to migrate the data. It's very thorough. It's probably more thorough than I really need, but I am just going to plug along. And I think I have already put in, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 books. It is my goal to try to work on this weekly. It will take a lot of time, but that is a major goal. I would, though, eventually like to be able to look at this spreadsheet and to be able to see on my owned TBR, what books have I not read? And there will probably be a lot of them. And I'm also, as I'm going along, looking at, are these books I really want to keep? Are these books I really want to spend the moment putting into the inventory? We shall see. But I have got to get a handle on this backlist. So the first step is taking a fearless inventory of what I own and entering that into the spreadsheet. And then the second goal is, sorry, the second goal is to read 50% of the books this year off of my backlist. Now, in some cases, this is fairly early because the backlist for me is anything published in 2024 or past. I bought a lot of books in 2024. There's still a lot that excite me. I still want to get to them. But I also have books I have had sitting on my shelves and have not picked up. So the question is, am I going to put those in my spreadsheet or am I going to pass them on to somebody else and know that at some point, if I want to read that book one day, I can find it, right? I want to be able to really focus on backlist titles, and that is Kindle, that is audiobook on Audible that I no longer have a subscription to, but I have a number of books I haven't finished on that. Libro.fm, I have a handful or more of those as well. I have some NetGalley titles that have been on my backlist for a bit. And of course, the physical TBR. Reading the backlist is going to be 50% of what I read at least this year. That means I have a couple other goals that I've set up for myself as well. Okay. One of them is, and I think I shared this with you before, I'm going to read one book of the month each month. I have a number of Book of the Month Club titles I have purchased over the time that I've been a subscriber. And for me right now, it's important that I start to read that down so that one day I could buy a book from Book of the Month and actually read that book the month that it comes in and then decide whether I'm going to keep it or unhaul it for someone else. So I'm going to read one book of the month each month. I'm happy to say that as of this moment where I'm filming this, I have already done that. So I feel really good about that goal so far. A more recent goal that's coming up, or a more time-sensitive goal that's coming up too, is I'm going to host the Mardi Gras readathon again this year. Mardi Gras is in March of 2024. For those of you who aren't familiar, Mardi Gras is Fat Tuesday, is the Tuesday before Ash Wednesday, which is when everyone of a certain belief system or a certain practice does give up something for Lent and really does focus on the meaning of Lent at that time. And so Fat Tuesday in the Mardi Gras scene is the day that you go out and you parade and you drink and you eat like a crazy person and you do all those things that you won't be able to do for the Lenten season. I am not as much a person who chooses a goal for Lent anymore, although I used to do that. I'm more of a person, though, that honors the fact that this is important to a lot of people, especially where I live, because Mardi Gras is king and queen of our communities. So I started the Mardi Gras readathon. This will be my 3rd year. I am also happy to announce that I am hosting again with Kat from Kat's Novel Adventures. So give Kat some love as well if you've never been to her channel. She's incredible. I adore her videos. She talks about really unique books as well. And she's just a nice human who lives nearby. And so Kat and I are going to co-host the Mardi Gras readathon. We'll probably have a book that we read as a group, and we will probably do some sprints, and we're in the middle of both of us trying to regroup after the holidays and settle on what we're going to do and what those prompts are going to be. So stay tuned, but also mark your calendar because we will be doing that for about a month. That's usually what we do, is the month before leading up to Fat Tuesday. And Fat Tuesday is the last day of Mardi Gras readathon. So watch for that. All right, so I have talked about, let me check these off because I don't want to miss anything. All right, so that's 5 of my goals. All right, I would like to get my NetGalley score up this year. I have set a pretty high goal for myself, and that is 70%. Where am I now, you ask, in the goal setting framework? Let me see, because I don't remember, but I'm not at 70%. I can tell you that right now. I'm at 37%, so not quite 40. So I have 30% essentially to increase that goal. And that means I have to read a bunch of the books titles that are on my backlist. And that's also part of my goal. So it fulfills 2 prompts for me, and it will just make me feel better. I've gotten a couple of NetGalleys that were given to me recently really easily, so I feel like 37% isn't killing me. But I just feel like I want it to be higher. So 70% for me is a pretty high goal. I may not get there, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Let's just say that. And I have a lot of nonfiction titles on that list as well, which for me is good because I want to read more nonfiction, although I didn't set a specific goal on that this year, but that will make me happy too. Another goal I'm sort of copying from Melinda at Web of Stories. She and a group of people did this last year, and it was something I was interested in. So I purchased this copy of Les Miserables, which is a very good translation. I did some research about that. Not only is it a beautiful cover and deckled edges, but it is a really well done translation. And so my goal is to read a chapter a day of Les Miserables. There are 365 chapters, so that will get me to the end of the year. So far, I'm pretty much on track. I read ahead a little bit during the holidays when I was really down and out, so I need to make sure that I am still on track. But both my partner and I are doing this, although she's not finding it very interesting to her thus far. I am noticing that I just kind of want the part that I am most familiar with to kick in, and this beginning part is a little slower than I had hoped for, but I can see some names of people that are coming up, so that's making me happy as well. So hopefully I can read a chapter a day of Les Mis without too much difficulty. So far seems pretty good, and finish that book, because I don't know that any other way of finishing that is going to work for me, just because it's so big, so big. I've already shared this goal with you, but I do plan this year to read more big books. We just talked about this earlier as well. I have already read one of the big books in my big book video that I shared earlier. So I'll be talking about that at the end of January. But I do want to not shy away from bigger titles. Of course, this will be one of those big books, but I'd also like to read, for example, 11/22/63 this year. I've never completed that. I think there is an Outlander or 2 on that list that I talked about wanting to read. You can go and look at that video. It's not been long ago. I think I filmed that one in December of 2024. But I really do want to stop shying away from these big books just because they're big, and because I think, oh gosh, what if I read that and then I don't meet my yearly goal, or I don't have as many books to talk about, or those kinds of things. I don't want to feel that pressure. I just really want to read some incredibly good, big books. And so far, the one that I read is just amazing. So I feel really, really good about that. And I'm excited to tackle the next big book. I'm not sure. I think I'll probably start one in February. All right. The other thing is, I want to intentionally create a more meaningful TBR. That means planning more ahead for me. This last year, I had some buddy reads that snuck up on me that I had committed to, and I wasn't thinking ahead of making space for them in the months that I read them. Luckily, I finished all but one, and I didn't finish it not because I didn't have time, but I didn't finish it because it just wasn't working for me, and I was struggling to stay with it. But I may pick that one back up. That's the last TJ Klune, the Somewhere Beyond the Sea title that I was buddy reading with Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventures. She completed it. I did not, but we both did read two other TJ Klune titles this past year, and I loved that buddy read. I did a buddy read with Melinda of The Examiner. So, I mean, I really am a buddy reader for sure. And I enjoy doing that, but I also realize that when I commit to that, I need to make sure that I am organizing my TBR. So buddy reads, NetGalley choices, when they're coming out. I have one that's coming out and I have a date by which to finish that. So I have to think about that. My book club reads, I have to make sure that I'm intentional about starting those so that I can complete them by the time we meet as a book club. I did not complete the one in December. December was a mess for me for a number of reasons, because December is kind of tricky, right, for all of us, but because I was so sick and because I had a number of books that I was committed to reading and because I had work and just all the things, right? So I want to make sure that I'm planning ahead. And so I'm using this journal very differently than I used it last year. Last year was just me scribbling notes in this journal all the time. But this year I have specific pages for each thing. So I have my book of the month backlist on the first page, so I can mark off the ones I read. I'm keeping track of my anticipated read lists. I'm keeping track of my hauls. Look at January. Very short. I'm keeping track of my content, and I'm keeping track of my buddy reads and probably some other things as well. I don't have any buddy reads actually scheduled, although I do have one that I committed to last night for the spring. I just need to make sure I understand which month we're starting it in. But I know I've committed to another buddy read with somebody else, and I need you to, I'll probably look at my notes and I'll find it, but I need whoever you are to reach out to me and say, it's me, and this is what we agreed to read, because I did not write it down. And now I have the brain fog that comes with COVID. So my apologies, and yet I can't really help it. It is just what it is. But I want to be more intentional about planning ahead for when I'm going to read things and when to prioritize those things. And I have a struggle with the TBR that doesn't give me some choice in the moment too. So I'm going to be mindful of that as well. More meaningful means I have the option to throw something in that I didn't plan on reading, which I actually just did do after my book hangover from my big book selection. I had to pick something light and airy and silly so that I could get that done because I was, holy cow, that was I was just, whew, wait till you hear. Anyway, meaningful TBR. That's going to be what guides me through the year. And hopefully this journal set up in this way will help me a lot more as well. So here's my 10th goal, and that is to improve the quality and the content of my channel. I do better when I'm able to plan ahead. I don't know if everyone is experiencing that, but I definitely do. I also have not always been able to plan ahead this last year, and 2024 was a remarkable year for me. I was successful in so many ways. We have a brand new baby that we have in our lives that is just the best thing. Got to spend lots of time with all of my grandchildren and my children. Got to go visit my sister in Arizona and my brother-in-law. Got to see a state I had never been in before. I got to celebrate lots of wonderful milestones for all of my kiddos and my friends. Got to foster some amazing dogs that have found forever homes. I can't say enough about how wonderful 2024 was. Were there some bumpy areas in the ride? Yes, there were. Are they still kind of feeling a little bumpy? Yes, sometimes they are. But for the most part, 2024 was a successful year for me in many, many ways. However, there were times where I planned way ahead and I had filming way ahead for the month, and there were times where I was doing it minute by minute, day by day. I don't like that. I have, for the most part, been able to hang on to the things that I felt like were most important to me. And I'm never going to be this like incredibly designed channel where everything just is edited perfectly and the music is like, oh, that's gorgeous. And, it's really a lot. And I am an amateur at this and I have not studied anything or figured out anything. I just have been rolling along by the seat of my pants, if you will. However, I would like to be more intentional about planning ahead. And that's one of the reasons why I want to do the survey. I want to know what you appreciate, what you like, what content is meaningful to you. Do we all, as booktubers, use the same kinds of content? Yes. Do we have some unique content to each of us? I think so. I hope so. But I don't know. I mean, I think I have a unique series of Throwback Thursday, but I don't know that other people aren't doing that. So you never know. And I have you guys pick my nonfiction books, which I'm about to film as well. But other people probably do that too, right? I know lots of people boss your TBRs across the BookTube channel community. But I do want to, I don't have to be unique. I don't have to stand out. I just want to bring you something that matters to you and that you really enjoy. I can tell, of course, who watches more videos, how many views they get, those kinds of things. I can tell. Sometimes that surprises me. I have an old video from a book review I did of a book called My Dark Vanessa. I'm shocked at how many views that still gets all these years later and comments. It was a very controversial book. It was just a weird, like somebody sent me a free copy. I read it, did a review, and posted it, and then it just kind of slowly grew and grew and grew and grew. Whereas sometimes I think, oh, this will be a good video, and I pop it out there, and then, it just isn't everybody's cup of tea. You just never know. But I really want to improve my cadence and the quality of the content and just be more intentional, I guess, about the channel as well. So I may not have a specific sort of goal on that. I'm not going to say by the end of the year I want to have this many subscribers or anything like that, because that isn't the reason I do this. But I would like to have quality, consistent content that you enjoy and that you comment on. The other thing about this goal is I have been terrible in the last couple months, really since the baby came, I think, not her fault, about answering your comments and responding to you. So I'm going to try to take some time today to get that off of my list of things to do. And then I'm going to try to stay on top of that more. I'm going to try to set some time aside in a specific day to make sure that I go back and look at the comments of the week, because it's important to me. You took the time to make that comment happen, and you took the time to share something with me or ask me a question. And I have not been able to make the time to respond to you lately in a way that I would like to. So that is definitely a part of that goal, and that is a more specific part of that goal. But otherwise, I would just like to feel at the end of 2025 as though I made some strides and did some fun, new, innovative things, or did some things that really made you happy and really brought you some sort of joy, because ultimately that's what this is about. It's not about making money. It's not about being famous. It's not about any of that stuff. For me, it's just about being with all of you that I care about so, so very much, and bringing you bookish joy, and you bring me bookish joy back in return. So it's a reciprocal type of prosperity that I am so, so pleased with. Stay tuned, stay with me, don't give up on me. I'm here. I'm gonna make it through this. I'm gonna live through this crap that I had the misfortune of catching. And this year is going to be incredible. I cannot wait to see what is in store for us in 2025. Together, we can create so much bookish joy. By the way, as a closing of this, I choose a word each year that I want to embody and carry with me throughout the whole year. Some years it's been more like related to getting things done. Some years it's been more related to prosperity. But I have done this one little word choice for a very, very long time. It comes from the roots of my scrapbooking life and a woman named Allie Edwards, who has a whole program called One Little Word, and she helps you to design a little scrapbook that manifests that word in front of you in photos and notes and other things. I don't do any of that anymore. I just pick a word. And this year, 2025, my word is calm. You can imagine that my word calm has come from sort of a reflection of what my year felt like at times, but also what my internal state felt like at times. As a child of someone who, someone's that had a history of mental health challenges, I can tell you that I am more than mindful of the effect of that on your generations that follow you. I would like to break that to some degree in the generations to come. My young ones now, as well as the ones that I don't even know, are going to exist. I have a good bit of evidence that from for example, my grandmother, who had incredible anxiety and depression, so much so that she received electroshock therapy. My grandfather was bipolar, from what we kind of know without really having a diagnosis. My mother had a significant amount of anxiety and obsessive compulsive behaviors in her lifetime as well. My sister battled at times with depression. And so each of us have carried in our own genetic, code, really. And there are so many resources out there for us to use, to be able to access, and there is so much support that's available to us. All we have to do, though, is to be brave and to be willing to ask for that help, or to find that help, or to seek that help. Mental health is very important to me, not just because I have this history of mental health challenges, but because it is an epidemic at this point, and there are so many things that are happening, and we see so much news if you watch the news, and we see so much evidence in our local communities of things that are happening and things that are not happening for people. I am championing a number of people who are supporting the mental health wellness space, and I will share some of those with you if you would like. But in the moment now, for me, the word calm really embodies what I want to feel in 2025. There's a lot changing for us in 2025. There's a lot of uncertainty. I had a conversation yesterday with my kids about data and how is our data being taken, or how can our data be seen, and those kinds of things. when we talk about that, my anxiety, my beliefs, my fears, they all start to. And what I'm noticing already this year is I have the power in the moment to be present with that and to notice it and to say or do something that will bring it back to some level of calm. Am I going to be completely calm for this whole entire year? No. Am I going to be anxious this year? Yes. I can get anxious about a number of things. But I also have some really, I will tell you, this is a terrible part of this disease. I have some really unnecessary, unrealistic, terrifying thoughts that just intrude into my brain suddenly. I don't know where they come from, but they're there. They happen. And I think to myself, Lori, what in the world? Nothing. That is not going to happen today. It is a part of the way my brain is wired. I can't I can't explain it, but I can figure it out and I can eliminate it in the moment. I can speak to it in the moment. This went off on a rant that I did not mean to go off on, but I am going to leave it because it might be useful to you. And if it's useful to you, then I feel good that my challenges and my intrusive, crazy, unrealistic thoughts, sharing those with you perhaps makes you feel like you're not alone and that this isn't abnormal and that there's nothing wrong with you except that your brain is wired differently. So join me on the journey of choosing a one little word if you'd like. And if you have done or you do this, put it in the comments below so I can help support your one little word. We can help each other. Maybe I'll do a sprint one night where we just get together and talk about our one little word. I don't know. I have a desire to do some sprints, but I don't know how to do some sprints. So that is will I do it? Will I not? Stay tuned. I don't know. But maybe we'll do a mental health live moment where we all get together in a room and we talk about it. I don't know. Whatever works for you, whatever's important to you, I'm happy to do it. But in the meantime, I'm going to stay calm as much as I can, and I'm going to focus on that word and see what happens this year as a result. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about all of these reading goals. Let me know what your reading goals are as well, obviously. Can't wait to see them and help you and support you with those. And as always, happy reading. Bye.